Today, it's not uncommon to become a target of virtual scammers. This alarming trend is also great among Latinos and especially senior citizens. We cover this important topic with members of the New Jersey Latino American Trooper Society. It's all here on the next Latino Motion. Join us.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation, and Stockton University. This edition of Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is brought to you by the HD Studios at the campus of Stockton University.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare. For more information, call 1-888-569-1000 or visit atlanticare.org. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.
Welcome to Latino Motion, a weekly interview show highlighting issues impacting New Jersey's Latino community while advancing understanding of Latino cultural heritage and contributions to our society. And here is your host, Bert Lopez.
Buenos dias and welcome to Latino Motion. It is often too common to become a victim of a scam. I'm happy to have a couple guests to talk about this very alarming issue and trend. I have Detective Sergeant Katie Fian and Detective Sergeant Luis Rivera Guzman. Both are with the New Jersey Latino American Trooper Society. They're both troopers. Welcome to the show, Katie and Luis.
Thanks, Bert. But glad to be here.
Thank you for having me.
And I know you recently had a presentation in Atlantic City. I see that you're out of uniform today, but tell me about the logo that you're wearing and the representation that means.
Just like you mentioned, we're both members of, it's short NJ Lats, but it means New Jersey Latino Trooper Society. And it's something that is very special to us because it bonds people in the state police to come together to serve our communities. Not only do we serve Latino communities, but communities all over the state and all over the world. We do missions to other countries when they need help, such as Puerto Rico, just recently went to Colombia. But our primary focus is communities in the state of New Jersey. And whenever we see a need or a way we can improve people's lives, we take that opportunity together.
And I know, Luis, that you are down here in Atlantic City in your job as a state trooper working within the casino. Is that correct?
Correct. I mean, I grew up in Puerto Rico, and then when I moved from Puerto Rico, I moved to Atlantic City. So I grew up in the area, became a trooper. So I'm just always looking for ways to give back. And then we found like-minded individuals in the state police that have been able to join us in this mission of ours to just help our communities any way we can. So I was stationed in the casino operations unit down here in Atlantic City for a number of years. So I'm just kind of well-versed in the type of scams that have been going on in the area.
Detective Fian, I know that you're also from New Jersey and also have been involved locally as well.
Yes. So in my role right now, I'm in the Internet Crimes Against Children unit. So I do a lot of presentations to schools, more targeted towards middle school age students about how to stay safe online and protect themselves. And somebody within our organization said, hey, that's really great. You teach kids about how to stay safe online, but there's another vulnerable population out there, and that's our senior citizens. So when that was brought to my attention, I just came up with this program to help our senior citizens be more aware and protect themselves as well, because it's not just children who need help.
Yeah, and I know you were here in Atlantic City, as I mentioned, doing a presentation with the Hispanic Association of Atlantic County, a workshop basically talking about the different ways that scammers target seniors, and certainly Latino seniors are a big part of that target population. Detective Finn, if you don't mind telling me a little bit about how widespread this has become.
It's bigger than it's ever been before. The old traditional ways of scamming individuals, such as through the mail and in person, are still in existence. But now we have that added element of computer scams. But not only computer scams, everyone has a cell phone now. And that's also a handheld computer in your hand at all times now. So wherever you are at any time, there's a chance you could be scammed at from really four different angles. But one way is sitting in your hand at all times or next to you. So there's a bigger need for these types of presentations and awareness because it can come from anywhere at any time.
So Detective Finn, thank you so much. I want to transition a little bit of what you said, particularly focusing on the Latino community and Latinos. Detective Rivera, tell me more about how impactful this is, particularly in the Latino community.
Of course. So seeing it firsthand. So I worked about 3 years in the casino operations unit here in Atlantic City. Every day, something else happening in the casino industry where I kept seeing the Latino community being targeted, specifically the older community. And it's always a common theme. There's always some type of distraction going on. There's always somebody else kind of on the side, maybe trying to get their attention. And all of a sudden they're getting their phone stolen. They're getting their purse stolen. We always talk about PII, personal identifiable information. And so Latinos always tend to keep all these things in their purses and whatnot. I tell my mom all the time, she would carry her social security card or her birth certificate. And like when you're going out, like I think that's like a cultural thing that they have to keep it, close by to them wherever they go. So I always, anytime I responded to any of these events, I would tell them like, there's no need for you to have these documents with you, with that PII, with the personal identifiable information. Now they can do so many things and hurt you in ways you don't think. And, in the digital age, that's huge.
Detective Finn, that personal information, how do scammers use that to get access and to really get their foot in to be able to scam an individual?
So they do it in any way possible. But what's important to understand is there's so much information about us out there, general information, which gives people tools to use against you. So just like doing a background for a job interview, these scammers can actually do a background on, your grandparents. They can see how many grandkids they have, maybe where they retired from working, where they live, are they on certain government healthcare programs, right? So anything they can research and find out about your grandparents, again, they can use against you. For example, there's grandparent scams going on. So if it's easily identifiable that this person is a grandparent, these scammers can actually pose as grandchildren and figure out what their grandchild's name is. And they can even take it a step farther now and can actually manipulate the grandchild's voice to match their actual voice if there's any video content out there of the grandchild. Grandparents love their grandchildren so much, I'll do anything. So they make it an emergency and they made it all about finances. So, hey, your granddaughter's been arrested or she's been in an accident and we need money right away. Otherwise she's, going to be in trouble. And they just want to help right away. Something personal that happened to me, my grandmother has Facebook like a lot of our grandparents now, and she posts a lot of pictures with me in uniform. So she actually started getting letters asking for donations for like a trooper fund, National Trooper Coalition Fund. So I believe she was targeted. I believe she was researched because not every elderly person I talk to and, inquire about scams, do they say they got this letter? But my grandmother did. I talked to another elderly couple who their whole lives, they were into rescuing dogs and cats. Like they were animal lovers. What did they start getting? Emails, letters in the mail, phone calls asking to donate towards animal rescue. So I feel like whatever information is out there can be used against you. It ties at your heartstrings and it makes you want to help.
That's amazing. Certainly, they do pull at the heartstrings, so to speak, and certainly the elderly particularly are susceptible to those type of scams. Well, we're going to take a quick break. This is a very interesting discussion. We're going to be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on Facebook and YouTube. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. We continue our discussion with Detective Sergeant Katie Vian and Detective Sergeant Luis Rivera Guzman with the New Jersey Latino American Trooper Society. We were talking about scams and certainly how particularly it targets Latinos and seniors, particularly susceptible. Let's talk a little bit more about how we could protect ourselves, how we could protect our family members, and particularly we know that we have seniors that could be targeted in our families. What can we do? We'll start with you, Detective Rivera.
So one of the biggest things that we always talk about is having some type of safety plan, establishing somebody that you can trust, somebody that just gets you some type of second opinion. So it's basically when something feels off, you want to contact them. One of the things I talk about also about safety plans is going over all their social media accounts and also their phones. One of the biggest things that we see is our family members, our Latino community, our older Latino community, not utilizing password protection and also not using two-factor authentication. So that's one of the things that we always talk about. Like, hey, let's look over everything that you have that may be susceptible to these scams and make it harder for these people to attack you.
Those are great points. And Detective Ian, if you could expand a little bit about the password and what the two-factor authentication really means and how that protects individuals' personal information.
So I mentioned in-person scams are still possible, and a big part of that is theft. People watch, especially in the casino area, that people watch and they wait till someone puts their phone down because they know there's so much personal identifying information on that phone and financial information. I mean, our whole lives are in our phone, right? So if I put my phone down and someone takes it and there's no password on it, you're giving them access to your whole life, essentially. So having that password is huge. Just the general, it could be, 1, 2, 3, 4, but at least it's something, right? So I have a conversation with my parents all the time because they're the biggest offenders of not putting passwords on their electronic devices. The second part, multi-factor authentication, it's just verifying you are who you are. So you could put a phone number and an email. Every time you sign on to your bank, it either sends you an email or sends you a text, or they can even call you, some of these apps. And they're just like, hey, did you just try to sign into your bank app? Well, yeah, it was me. Okay. If it wasn't you, that means you have a problem, right? If you get a text saying, hey, did you just try to sign into TD Bank? Then you know someone's trying to get into your account. So it's just another layer of protection that someone's not going into your accounts and getting your identifiable information. But, I think besides those two things, it's really important for everybody on the planet, really, to keep in the back of your mind, if something's too good to be true, it probably is, right? So those are very technical ways to protect yourself. But again, they're playing on our emotions a lot of times. So again, if it's too good to be true, then it probably is. And that kind of comes into factor when we talk about U1 scams and romance scams. And those completely different because, my grandmother calls me every day. I think I won an iPad. I got an email. I'm like, Grandma, you didn't win an iPad. Keep that in the back of your mind. If it's too good to be true, probably is. Right. I talked to some senior citizens, talked to a male senior citizen in Elizabeth. And he's like, oh, this 18-year-old girl from California just sent me a message and she wants to come see me in New Jersey. Wow. And I was like, hold on, let me see the profile, right? So we also need to teach our senior citizens to slow it down, think about it, run it past somebody, just like Luis just said. But notice these red flags, especially when it comes to romance scams, because they are there. When I looked over that profile from that man's potential love interest, if you look at the different profile pictures, it actually was a different woman that looked the same. He didn't slow it down. He didn't look through all the pictures. Try to identify if this person's a real person. Because most of the time when you see a young, attractive female, it's an older man behind that account trying to get financial scam money through people. because everybody wants love, right? At any age, but sometimes senior citizens are lonely and they want that connection.
Yeah, those are outstanding points, and certainly you get bombarded with those all the time, right? I know one of the things I'm constantly get text messages. Hey, Dave, you missed dinner today, or something to that effect, all to kind of pull you in to respond, to start a conversation. And Detective Rivera, why is it so important that you pay attention if you don't know who that is? Who's selling you that message? Why is it important not to engage in those conversations? You just block those individuals.
Of course. So it's very important. So you talk about these people trying to get small amount of information that they can out of you. Okay. There's always some type of urgency to try to get as much information as they can as quickly as possible. Right. So if you're not slowing it down and you're not seeing these red flags, you might have just told them, oh, I don't have a grandson named Billy. His name is Jose. Right. And then all of a sudden, okay, now they know, oh, you know what? No, this is Jose's friend, Billy. They can use any type of information to utilize against you, okay?
Certainly, you mentioned slow it down. Both detectives are using that phrase, slow it down. You really got to stop and think, right? And the other one, which I really like, Detective Rivera, was find a trusted individual that you could bounce things off of. I think that's very important, particularly, for Latinos who may not necessarily be familiar with all the technology, or for those who may have language barriers that could be easily targeting, that they need to find that trusted individual to bounce things off so they don't become victims of a scam. Anything else, Detective Fian, that you think is important to keep in the back of your mind to avoid becoming a victim of a scam?
I just think having a process, right? Be kind of guarded. If you don't know a number, don't answer it. If you're meeting a person online, just assume they're not who they say they are. But part of that process is having a trusted person, right? Not all elderly people have family here. Sometimes they have family that live in different countries or time zones and they're not there, right? But especially if it's a government type of scam, I would hang up. Call a government number that's a trusted number, and they should have someone that speaks English and Spanish available. So, for example, in a lot of these IRS scams or healthcare scams with Medicaid or Medicare, someone calls you from Medicare or Medicaid and it sounds off, hang up. Just hang up and talk to a trusted individual. If not, call Medicare or Medicaid or the IRS main number directly, right? Because somebody that actually works there can give you real information and they won't be that scammer. The number is usually on the back of a card. Also, the Federal Trade Commission has a phone number and a website that anyone can go to at any time if they don't have that trusted individual. But you have to have a plan. You can't be naive. Be your own, level of first defense.
So, Detective Fian, I'm sorry to cut you off, but just wanted to mention we only got a second here for this segment, but it's so important to slow it down, right? And to really not take action right away when you get these phone calls and you think you may have won something, or there's an urgency to act. Slow it down. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on Facebook and YouTube. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. We continue our discussion with Detective Sergeant Katie Fian and Detective Sergeant Luis Rivera Guzman. We were talking about scams and how easily it is to become a victim of a scam. Let's just recap a little bit about the various types. And we covered everything from romance targets to Social Security, IRS. What type of other scams are out there targeting Latinos, particularly, and seniors, to take action now to get their information? Detective Fian, if you don't mind, get us started on that.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said, mail is also a big way to target senior citizens. I know my grandmother stands outside and waits for the mailman to come every day. So scammers know this. So a lot of this is done through the mail. What has been going on, especially in Latino neighborhoods, especially people that are undocumented and they're nervous about having utilities and having light and gas and having all the necessities, is there will be fake letters in the mail from PSE&G, from Atlantic Electric, saying, hey, we're going to shut off your power unless you pay this right away, right? And I know Luis mentioned that emergent need, right? So they use having power and gas and heat as that emergency need, right? And sometimes because, again, they don't have a social security number, maybe they're using someone else's name to have utilities in the first place, and they don't want to mess up a relationship. They'll just pay, and they don't even pay attention how they're paying. A red flag is if they want you to pay in gift cards or cash app, something that doesn't seem right. That's definitely a red flag, but unfortunately some people pay it anyway because they feel like they want to protect themselves from not having light or ruining a relationship with a family member because you're using their name for utilities.
And these scammers could be very convincing, right, in terms of expressing that urgency. And Detective Rivera, does it matter if you report if you became a victim of a scam, if they tried to scam you? I mean, it seems like there's not much that law enforcement could do in preventing capturing these scammers once they have already taken your money.
No, but we always say you still want to report it. You definitely want to report what's going on. We're always looking for trends. We're always trying to see if we can get some type of information where all these cameras are coming from. So reporting it to your local agency is always a must. At the very least, you have to report it. No matter what your immigration status is, I mean, it doesn't matter. You still have to, you're a victim of a crime, you have to report to your local police agency, okay? And if it comes down to it, they'll report. They'll forward it to the state police if it needs further attention. One of the other things that you could do is forward that information to the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, ftc.gov, correct?
Yeah, it's a website where you can report it and even talk to someone on the phone about steps you could take. It's ftc.gov. But like he said, don't be scared to report it to the local police department, because what happens is once you pay one time, they have information about you, right? So if you don't report it, they're going to say, hey, it happened 4 more times. Why didn't you report it the first time? But if you report it the first time, those other 3 times afterwards, maybe you could get your money back, or maybe it'll be shut down by that point. So it's important to document it.
Yeah, very, very important. So there's so many things that we have to be aware of today, and certainly this is very useful information. Hoping that everyone takes heed of this to avoid becoming a victim, avoid their family member becoming a victim. And just want to switch gears a little bit because you referring back to the logo you have on with the New Jersey Latino American Trooper Society. This work that you're doing in terms of trying to prevent scams from taking place. It's the most important thing you could do is prevention. There's other missions that you've been involved with, and Detective Rivera, I'll start with you because I know that you were, you were involved with the helping Puerto Rico during the Hurricane Maria, I believe it was. Tell me more about that mission and how the troopers have helped.
So in the state police capacity, I've deployed twice to Puerto Rico back when Hurricane Maria occurred. That was like 2017. And again for Hurricane Fiona just recently as last year. So in the state police capacity, the Puerto Rico Police Department and the Ponce Municipal Police Department requested help through FEMA. Through that request, the state police was able to send multiple waves out there in 2-week increments. And we were able to help them in anywhere from security, physical security, humanitarian tasks, the amount of help that we were able to give them in order to get back to more important tasks that for the hurricane relief efforts. That's one of the things we were able to help them with.
Yeah, that's outstanding. And I know, Detective Fian, that there are other missions. We only got like a minute or so. But tell me about the other missions you've been involved with through the Association of the Troopers.
Yeah, so NJLATS was created really with a goal in mind to bridge the gap between Latino communities and law enforcement, because I think there's a pattern and a history of fear of law enforcement in the Latino community for various reasons. But we came up with ideas of how to combat this in the last couple of years. And, primarily focusing on New Jersey communities. I think the younger population is definitely important. So what we came up with to combat that and connect with them is through sports clinics. So we do soccer clinics and we've done basketball clinics, connect with youth in all different cities across New Jersey, just to show them, hey, we're law enforcement and you can come and talk to us and don't be scared to us, right? And then their parents see that. And then we have conversation with their parents in uniform at the sports clinics. So there's not that inherent fear just because someone's in uniform, they don't want to help you or they don't care. We want to show them that they're Latino, they live in New Jersey, we care about you. And that's our responsibility and our duty. So that's one way we're able to do that. We also brought our missions overseas. We just recently went to Colombia because we want to just help anywhere we can, whether it's New Jersey, America, South America, and the Caribbean. Wherever there's a need and a connection needed with the law enforcement and Latino community, we try to combat that the best we can. And this Homage to Senior Citizens program is just one new way that we came up with this year to connect with a group that we never thought, of a way to connect with before. So this has really taken off and, we look forward to doing more. So if anyone's interested in having this type of presentation for senior citizens, please let us know on our website. njlats.org is our information, or you could send an email either to me, my state police email, or you can email njlats at info@njlats.org. And
So we'll certainly put that on the screen. Unfortunately, we ran out of time. Thank you so very much. So much information and such great work that you and the troopers are doing here in New Jersey and abroad as well. So thank you once again for coming on the show and being part of this program here on Latino Motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's all the time we have, folks. Thank you for joining us once again here on Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on Facebook and YouTube. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics. Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare. For more information, call 1-888-569-1000 or visit atlanticare.org. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.